I want to go to something really quick. Again, I'm going to show you. There's some pictures I need to show you outside of Nancy's office. This is great. This is, it's a small thing, but it's symbolic, right? It's symbolic. But before we get to that, just humor me. Queen Nancy has just been evicted. Take a look at this. This is her office there on Capitol Hill. So apparently she had an office on Capitol Hill, even though she was no longer speaker. Steny Hoyer had one too, even though he was no longer. Like, how did these people, oh, maybe because they're in their 80s? Well, there's a lot of people, I think, in their 80s these days. Can they not walk across the street? They're supposed to be across the street. But Nancy had two offices. You see, she had one across the street, and then she had one that she kept at the Capitol building. Now, why should she be able to keep that office, I ask you? I mean, she shouldn't. And so the first thing that the interim speaker did was kick her out of her office. And she's furious. You know, oh my goodness, how could this happen? She's so angry and she thinks it's so petty and this and that. Okay, yeah, you know, maybe it is. I'll give you that. Maybe it is a little bit petty, but what the heck are you still doing in the office? You're no longer speaker, lady, right? This is real estate, prime real estate. You don't get to keep it. I mean, and I think that when I talk about the symbolism of this, I mean it because it's symbolic in that we're not going to have any more waste. That is a precious resource, that office, Nancy. It doesn't belong to you anymore. So you're going to go back across the street into the little office with everyone else because we do not want to waste anymore. We can't afford it. Not to mention, I'm not sure what Kevin McCarthy was thinking, given that Nancy Pelosi was the one who impeached Donald Trump, twice? Can I play this again for you guys? Remember what she just said the other day on air on MSNBC? Nancy Pelosi, who led that impeachment process twice on the former president for obviously very political reasons, said this about Joe Biden's impeachment inquiry.
But if you have a difference of opinion, you just can't be impeaching. On the other hand, this is a fake distraction, as you said.
Anyway, pot calling kettle there, right? Nancy Pelosi has just gotten, I think, a good, solid warning. There's a new sheriff in town. We don't know who it's going to be yet. We're going to talk about that. But whoever it is not going to put up with the nonsense anymore. And I think it's critical. I think we've got to get, I'm looking at this, guys, all right, as glass half full. This is a new opportunity. We can wipe the board clean. We can focus on the issues that we care about, which include the financial health of this country, because I don't know if you saw Treasury yields, but they're going way up. And they're going up because not necessarily that people think we're going to be going into a crazy recession. I mean, they may send us into a recession. In fact, some of the numbers have suggested, we're doing okay. Great article in the Wall Street Journal about this today. The reason they're going up is because people are looking at what I just showed you. The long-term, unsustainable debt that we just cannot continue with. I mean, this is really out of control. And the more this escalates with no actual end in sight, the more problems we will have. I mean, you wonder why they're talking about the fall of the Roman Empire, right? What do you think caused the fall of the Roman Empire? Too much debt. Too many people living off the dole. Too many military involvements that were too costly. I mean, the similarities really and truly are quite striking. Quite striking. And this is why we need to pay attention now. This is why we need to take this opportunity and set the stage for a new era in America. One that showcases financial responsibility, which means you can't be doing what the Democrats have been doing or what, Kevin McCarthy. And, look, there's blame to go around for sure on all of this because the Republicans allowed this. But if you're going to lead the Republican Party, then you need to lead. And you can't acquiesce, and you can't play games, and you can't say, oh, sure, we'll spend another $2 trillion here or there. You got to stand for something. And right now, with these numbers being as crazy as they are, you got to stand for fiscal responsibility. And with fiscal responsibility, everything else comes in line. Someone sent me something. We know that California, of course, wants to reinvent how they teach math, but someone sent me something last night. There's now an effort underway in the state of Connecticut to have what they call equitable math. Equitable math, so that minority students don't feel disenfranchised if they're not as good at math as other students. And so the idea is we're going to be, I don't know, more warm and fuzzy and teach math in new ways that make everyone feel good and don't really rely on always getting the correct answer. To which my response was last night, is this so that nobody realizes what $33 trillion really is in terms of our national debt? I mean, we're just going to rethink numbers altogether? Is that what this is about? We've got problems. We've got problems on the education front. We've got problems on the border front. All of these things are costing us dearly. I mean, kids today, they don't have a clue. They don't even know what interest rates are. So when they sign up for their new credit card at college, where they're paying some $50,000 a year plus to go and get a degree in gender studies, for which they will not be employable, they don't understand what the 22% interest rate means. These are things that we actually need to be teaching in school, like at an early age, but nobody cares. Nobody cares in Congress. Nobody cares in school. Nobody cares. And so we need someone as the Speaker of the House that cares, that knows how to add and subtract and multiply and divide, and knows what it means when interest rates keep going up on our $33 trillion, that knows what it means when we have $200 trillion in outstanding liabilities. We got to come up with some more creative solutions. And we got to take a big red pen to that budget and start making some changes. So let's talk about who's out there. What do you think? Jim Jordan says he's interested. I think he would be perhaps one of the better ones. And I say this because he has a degree in economics. Really, I'm just can we just get somebody who understands math? There's the gentleman down in Florida as well, Byron, and he's phenomenal. He's been on the show a couple times. He understands economics, but I don't think he's really in the running. They're talking about Steve Scalise as well. I guess I just go back to Jordan because I'm impressed with what he studied in undergrad. I mean, look, I guess I'm easily impressed, but there's very few economics majors in Congress. I like people that have a sense of what interest rates mean, what debt means, what tax policy means, and we don't have that. But there's another interesting idea that's being floated. People are talking about, could you actually see Donald Trump be named as Speaker of the House? And apparently there's no rule against it. So he actually could. Typically Republicans bring in one of their own, but they could do this. I've pointed out that it could be kind of troubling because, he's got bigger aspirations and something bigger in mind, of course, and that would be the presidency. But Steve Bannon, whom you all know, has, and I consider a very smart guy, by the way, he was one of the first to really well articulate where our standing was in the world vis-a-vis China and the threat that China really is. And he's done an excellent job really at articulating that. And he doesn't get enough credit for that. By the way, the guy's really smart. Former Goldman Sachs banker, by the way. My alma mater, too, way back when. Anyway, Steve Bannon said some interesting stuff about the potential for Donald Trump coming in because he feels like he's like the one guy who can go in and clean house and actually do a lot of these things that need to get done. I want you to watch this and tell me what you think. I'm looking at your live comments here in this live show today.
Solution. You want to compromise in a coalition and to get the people paid and get on with the business and set up the committees? How about this? 100 days to save America. And in that 100 days, Donald J. Trump will be voted tonight or tomorrow to be Speaker of the House. And the Republicans say we're going to do it for 100 days. And in the 100 days, you get everything set up, all the investigation set up, and Trump begins the negotiations now. Not when they run out of money. They said, oh, the crisis is going to hit us in the summer or fall. Well, that's where they're out of cash, and I can put the gun to your head. We're out of cash. The full faith and credit got to do it. No, let's start it now. We know what this is about. You're not going to hide anymore, and you're not going to lie anymore, and you're not going to spin anymore. And if you want somebody in the room that understands how to do these types of negotiations, his entire professional career is doing that, is Donald J. Trump. 100 days. Let's get him in the room. And let's do the debt ceiling. Let's do let's do the spending. Let's talk about the madness. And let's talk about the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
Who knows more about money or interest rates than Donald Trump? Remember, Ralph Norman's come to this as a real estate developer because it's so interest rate sensitive. What he said yesterday, right now we're on the verge of spending $1 trillion on interest a year. $1 trillion a year, bigger than the defense budget. You want to talk about a national security problem? You want to talk running around? We got national security. Got to get Kevin McCarthy right now because this is a national security problem. We got all those guys, the military veterans. I honor their service. Honor their service. National security issue. National security. Here's the national security issue. You're spending $1 trillion a year more than the defense budget, which is out of control, on interest. That's a national security problem. And I got a solution. And tell me anybody's got a better solution for right now, for this afternoon. Give it, hey, how about this? 100 days of Donald Trump. Let's get him in the room. You don't think their heads will blow up? You don't think that the Senate, oh, you can't do that. You got Trump. What are you talking about? You want to put it in their ear. You want to get up in their grill. Give me Trump for 100 days. You give me Trump for 100 days and you'll start the process of sorting out this mess. And the fact that they hate it so much is the better reason we ought to do it. So I got a solution. I got a compromise. Put it all to bed this afternoon. Trump for 100 days.
Interesting. I'm kind of thinking Bannon for 100 days, right? Hey everyone, Trish Regan here. If you enjoyed that clip, please do me the favor of subscribing to the channel. Just hit that little subscribe button right over there. Did I do that right? Not quite, but you know where it is. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you get the alerts, and I'll see you back on the show.